Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So it's finally time to do our muskets top 5. Top 5 clans to use guns in the game, right? So one of the differences between this and cavalry is that cavalry really needs the stables to give it that shot in the arm to kind of get it off the ground. And that's why you have a lot of ranches kind of spread out throughout the map. Now when it comes to muskets, you have hardly any forge towns on the map. There's only 5. But to offset that, and you're going to see it on this list here, the gunnery trait is kind of spread out a lot more throughout the game, throughout all the factions. So it's a lot easier to pick any force that has 2 or 3 guys that have gunnery and just get guns off the ground with it. Whereas with cavalry, you're very dependent on your landmarks. Okay, if you guys haven't seen the video with building cavalry and all that versus building muskets, I have it on the channel. Go check that out. But these top 5 clans are the best of the best when it comes to building guns, but they're not the only ones. So I really want to stress that they're not the only ones. You could easily do a top 10 for guns. Whereas cavalry, I don't think you can. It's not possible in this game, because so much of it is concentrated in 1 or 2 regions. So anyway, let's get started with the top 5. At the number 5 spot, we got the Date Clan. Kind of a no-brainer, really, because of the fact that Date, and this is when Masamune, of course, is in charge of the clan. So for the starting date, I'd say 1600 is the best time. You could do 1591. You could even do when his father's still around, but I think 1600 is this is at his peak, right? This is prime Masamune power right here. The fact that he has dragoon all over the place also doubles for gunnery power. So for this list, we're just going to look at the gunnery stuff, but remember that dragoon gives you 1 gunnery and 1 cavalry level. Okay, so the Date Clan at this point right here, they already have a ton of gunnery trait. I think they've got at least 5 officers with gunnery. You got 2 guys with dragoon. You got Masamune, of course. Masamune's Rising Dragoon is the best trait of the game. So a lot of people on this list are going to have Marksman. Rising Dragon is basically Marksman and Cavalry Commander all mixed into one. Okay, so Marksman, if you guys don't know, gives you level 3 to your muskets. Cavalry Commander gives you 3 for your cavalry. Rising Dragon is the best of both. Level 3 for cavalry and muskets. So again, we're not going to look at the cavalry or the dragoon aspect too much. We're just looking for straight gun power. Level 3 right away, him by himself. Now, if you do play one of the earlier scenarios where his father's still around, you can use Masamune for his elite musketeers. And I recommend it because it would give you 4. So Masamune doesn't give you 3, it gives you 4 for some reason, which is great. I mean, it's a lot stronger. If you're not going to use him for that, which I really wouldn't, it's not too big of a deal to get that, right? But the main reason, outside of having all these guys with all, like I said, all the gunnery, all the dragoon, giving you more gun power, it's not, they're conservator. They don't have really a conservator role that works for guns, but what they do have is they have an officer that has gunnery overseer. And not only do the Date have this, now this overseer gunnery that reduces gunnery instruction, this is a very rare overseer trait in Nobunaga's Ambition Awakening. There is maybe 15 officers total that have this trait, okay, across the whole map. So this whole map right here, there's maybe 15 officers total at any one time, probably less most of the time, who have gunnery overseer. And Masamune's force actually has 3 guys who have it. Look at that. 3 guys with gunnery overseer. So that gives you a discount, 30% discount. Not that crazy at level 1. You know, 30%. It only costs, 300 to start. But what this lets you do as the Date forces is get gunnery instruction all the way up to level 2. And you can see that he's set up for that. This force is set up to jump, to leapfrog. You're meant to get this right away. Get this out of the way. And then jump up to level 2. Which level 2 gunnery is normally 2,000 a month. But with the gunnery instruction discount, it's only 1,400. It's very cheap. So level 2 gives you +2 to your musket level. And it lets you build, you know, while you have a shooting gallery in that place. It gives you gunnery towers, but we're not going to look at gunnery towers. That's a totally different, that's a niche build that we'll talk about in the future. Now again, I'm not going to look at Dragoon organization. We're just looking for straight musket power. Gunnery instruction is all that this force needs. That's it. Gunnery instruction. Why? Because let me show you guys the list of officers. It's kind of a little crazy. Okay, so you can do this yourself. Just go to traits and organize, right? So you have 2 guys here with gunnery right away. 4 guys with gunnery. Masamune is 5, and then Kujuro and Shigezane Date 6, 7 because of the Dragoon. So you have 7 different officers. Between all that and being able to build shooting galleries everywhere immediately, okay, once you get level 2, once you get level 1 obviously, but what I'm saying here is while you're doing your normal ramp up, okay, which my tip here is to immediately get easy commerce and build trading towns aside. So start researching these side by side, because you don't have a lot of income, but guess what, the Date do have a huge treasury, 25k to start the game. So if you're wondering what that 25k is for, it's for gunnery instruction. That's what it's there for. It's to allow you to ramp up, and your balance is going to go under for a little while you get these developed, but it doesn't matter. You're gonna get your territories developed. You're gonna get your trading towns up far before going under becomes a problem. You'll be able to dig yourself out of that temporary hole. One more thing that they have is silver mines. So you have 1 in your capital, which is amazing, okay? Because silver mines give you plus 20% activation rate at the first level, okay? So if you guys didn't see my landmarks video, well, not landmarks video, I haven't gotten that out yet. If you guys haven't seen my building muskets video, we talk about silver mines in that. So, but basically it gives you access to a policy that allows you to fire your muskets faster. Not only do you have 1 in your capital, you have 2 next door. So the Uesugi in this scenario have 1, and the Mogami have the other. So as you expand, you'll be able to get silver mines up to level 2. You'll be able to get that policy at least up to level 2 before you have to start worrying about economy. But right away, you have access to that. So not only do you have access to the gunpowder, the gunnery instruction at a significant discount, you can get silver trade. As soon as that mine is done, you can see it right there. As soon as you get that mine up and running, you can get your first tier. And then you can keep going up. You can at least hit level 2. I'd say level 2 before you have to really start worrying about balancing your budget. So yeah, pretty sweet and straight to the point with the Date. It's just they're set up to ramp up with gunnery instruction right away. The discount is already in place. Not only is it already in place, but you have 3 guys, okay? So that means that you can stack. Remember that your overseer traits stack. So you can stack another one of these guys once they get the honor that they need. One of these 2 down here. You can stack them with this guy. Now you get 60% off of gunnery instruction. How crazy is that? If you can get 60%, I dare say you could get level 3. It could be affordable. If level 3 is still not affordable, put that 3rd guy on there. Get system reform, get your constructs up. Remember that you have 25k. You can get this, get system reform, and buy these spots on your console fairly easily. Okay? Get that up there. Get more discounts on gunnery instruction, and get this leveled up as fast as possible, and then pick up silver trade along the way. As you start expanding and stuff, keep an eye out for the silver mines. You know, choose a target. If you're playing an earlier scenario, it might be easier to get into these territories, but I recommend this one. Like I said, you have the most power. So that is the Date at number 5. At the number 4 spot, we've got the Oda. Now, the tricky thing about Nobunaga, right, is that his musket power doesn't really come on right away. So it takes a while for the Oda. Like, they're actually not set up pre-1570, and mainly that's because of the retainers. His retainers don't really grow and take on those guys that have the gunnery traits until 1570. Mainly Mitsuhide Akechi and the guys that he brings along with him, right? So 1570 is the starting point. So you have 1570 all the way to 1582, I guess, if you choose to turn off the what is it, the Honnoji incident for that one. But Nobunaga Oda in 1570 is very similar to the Date. It's just cranked up a notch. Okay, his development path is almost exactly the same as what I described with the Date. It's just that everything's better because his domain is a lot bigger, and because of that, he has reach. Okay, he can basically stick his fingers in a lot of different pies at the same time, right? So, in terms of the gunnery traits and everything, he has 6 officers right now with gunnery. He has 1 guy with marksman, which of course gives you level 3. I think that's, I believe that's Kazumata, who has the marksman trait. I'm not too sure. I'd have to check. But he also has a guy with dragoon in there, and he has access to elite muskets right away. Or actually, no, he doesn't have elite muskets right away. He gets it from Mitsuhide, but Mitsuhide is not quite senior yet, and I don't even know if he ever does hit senior at the start of any Oda Clan start off. So I think Captain is always what Mitsuhide is at, but eventually you'll get him there. Now, one of the things that's a little different from the Date is while you do have a ton of people that have the gunnery trait, you're not as concentrated as Masamune's starting position is. But to offset this, right, something that the Date don't have is that you can appoint one of your relatives here and give your force elite musketeers. And you have a choice, which is really nice, because if you don't want the level 2, you can take the level 1 so that you don't decrease your soldiers by too much. 15%, 10%. To me, it hardly matters. I'd rather take the raw power of muskets, even if it decreases. You know what I mean? Level 2, it's still not that bad. But you can assign your son here and get level 2 right away to all your forces. So that helps offset the fact that while you do have a lot of guys who have the trait, they may be kind of spread out. So just getting that, on top of, like I said, comparing it directly to Date's situation, you're set up to get gunnery instruction off the ground as soon as possible. Okay? You have plenty of officers that already meet the prerequisites. You have the prestige, of course. Okay, he just finished getting the Shogun to the capital. So you have 500 prestige. You can easily get level 1, and then you can jump past level 1 and get level 2. Just like Masamune, you also have a guy buried in the chart here, all the way in the bottom. Once he reaches captain, he'll give you a discount on gunnery. Unlike Masamune, it doesn't really matter because your territory is so large that your income is going to be just fine. Once things start to get developed, you're going to be raking in so much cash. Again, Masamune has 25k. Nobunaga has double. He has 50k to start with. So if you do have to go into the hole getting gunnery instruction somehow, right? I don't know how, but let's say that you did. It doesn't matter. You have 50k. Your economy will take off and manage itself. Okay? Don't worry about it. So Nobunaga gets gunnery instruction right away off the ground. He has Nobutada, or if you want Nobukane, if you don't want to take that as big of a penalty, that'll help offset the fact that you're spread out. And remember that you have other guys in the chart here. The main one to keep an eye out for is Mitsuhide. Narimasa is another one who's at captain rank, which I think is 4,000. So either Narimasa or Mitsuhide. I think Mitsuhide's is better. I believe his is level 5. If I can find them, you have so much talent. It's insane. Where are you, Akechi? There's Mitsuhide. So Mitsuhide will give you level 5. Wow, level 5. At the drawback of 40% gold. But again, it's gold. Gold is the easiest thing to build around in this game. You know, it's the easiest detriment. Actually, that's not true. The easiest thing to get around is if you have musket drill or cavalry drill, because you can just ignore the other. But the second easiest thing to build around is gold. Any drawback as a conservative role that has to do with gold, you can get around pretty easily. Now, let's get to the landmarks. This is what I mean about having a lot, about being able to stick his fingers in a lot of pies. You already have the silver mine that the Miyoshi Miyoshi used to have, let's say. Here, access to that, right? You also have access to quite a few other silver mines as time goes on. I believe there's one down here, there's one up here. But more important than the silver mines, remember that you have one already. So this means you have silver trade access, just like the Date. You have silver trade access right away. You have access to the few forge towns in the game. There's only 5 of these. We're going to cover them more as we move up the list. But you're next to 2 of them. One right here, one in Saika, and right here next to Odani Castle, Nagamasa's castle. Now, if you just let the events play out, you're going to get this one easily. And you can be able to, at your leisure, because you're Nobunaga, the whole map's at your leisure, really. But you can expand down here whenever you want and grab the other 2. But you will at least get 1 through events fairly quickly because it's 1570 the start date. So you can manipulate things and make sure that you get this one. So you have access to 3 of the forge towns very easily. You also have the silver mine. Again, the Oda are pretty much the Date. In terms of musket power, I mean, let's not downplay the Date. They have a whole other shtick. They have a whole other realm with dragoon power. But a direct comparison, Nobunaga is a step up. It's just a step up. Everything that the Date does, they do better. Around the same amount of officers with the trait, except they have conservators ready to give everybody, to pepper out the whole force with more musket power. They can get gunnery. Not only can they get it, they can afford it a lot easier. Literally double the treasury that the Date have. So that's the Oda at number 4. Now let's get to these top 3, because these top 3 I feel like are, these are the most, these are the strongest, easily the strongest ones, and the most consistent in my opinion. Even more consistent than these guys. So that's saying a lot. Okay, so at the number 3 spot, this may be a little surprising, but we've got the Suzuki. The Suzuki could easily be some people's pick for number 1. For me personally, it just comes down to ease of play versus potential. And I think some of the other clans just have a little bit more potential. But these top 3 are all just good to go. I mean, these are all, as we'll see, they're all well-oiled machines. They're ready to go. Okay, so the Suzuki Clan have, of course, gunnery. And it's pretty, you know, it's pretty much peppered throughout the force. You've got, I think, 3 or 4 officers. Shigehide is the key to this force, okay? The reason we're doing 1560 is because that's when Shigehide joins. He's the glue, okay? He brings it all together for this force. Because he has the marksman trait, which is way stronger. He has muskets build up, which is something to keep. This is one of the few forces that I feel can run it fairly well in the future. If this is what the route that you want to go, you can. And of course, another person with Way of the Suzuki. But he is the key to this force. When he, for me, the muskets come online when Shigehide joins. Okay, so you've got all these guys, a group of guys. Let's say, I don't want to say all these guys, a group of guys. Okay, with the trait. Now, when we go to the console here, of course, you're going to have access to gunnery. But one of the problems is that they don't have the prestige. They don't have the what's the word I'm looking for? They don't have even officers really, which is kind of strange. Okay, one of the things about this force that is really weird, I don't know if it's intentional or not, I feel like it's to offset their policy, is that everyone's conservative. Very weird. Again, feels like it's designed to offset the policy, which we'll cover in a second. So basically, you can't get gunnery instruction, which should be a detriment. But the policy we'll see is crazy, and like I'm about to show you guys, the conservator that you get, Shigekane, is an incredible conservator. This guy's, I mean, right away from the beginning of the game, you're going to get musket level 3, and the disadvantage is blank. Like I said in my building muskets video, if you haven't checked that out, go check that out. Getting this +3 already gold-plated conservator roll to get +3 to the castle for free. You didn't do anything for it. Is just as good, if not way better, than the gunnery policy. Now let's talk about the reason that they're at number 3 is Saika Village Rules. Okay, this is just as strong, just the exact opposite of Laws of Kai that Shingen has for cavalry. It's just for muskets. It's exactly the same, you know what I mean? The same kind of deal, same idea. So, musket level limit +1. Normally this wouldn't matter, but for this clan specifically, it lets you go above level 9. You could possibly hit level 11 or 12, as far as I've seen. It gives all your castle muskets +1 level, and it decreases the cost of shooting gallery, which right now you don't have a guy who has progressive in the beginning offset of the game, but it could factor in as time goes on, and I would say that it will factor in. But getting +1 to all your castles musket level for 100 is insane, and I suspect it's why they don't have access to gunnery, because gunnery, again, let me show you a direct comparison. This cost 100, this cost 300. This, you need to build a shooting gallery. You need to build the building, and only the buildings that have it get +1 musket level. This just gives you +1 musket level to everything. No buildings required. This policy is absolutely insane, and it is worth getting the discount. You know, putting clan members to give you the discount as you're able to expand it and make it stronger. So at level 2, another thing I want to show you is the rate at the expenses. The way they jump up, it's still cheaper than gunnery instruction. So level 2, +2 to your limit. All castles, muskets still the same. Shooting galleries are even cheaper. At level 3, musket limit +3. So now you can get all the way up to 12. All your castles get +2. And your shooting galleries are basically free. They're basically free. This is, and also, like I was just saying, much cheaper. Look at gunnery. 300, 2,000, 6,000. 100, 1,500, 4,000. It's way cheaper. You basically want to level this up to level 3, and you eventually you want to find somebody and get this for level 1. I guess level 2, so that you can build a couple of shooting galleries somewhere at some point, but I would just get the level 1. The Suzuki Clan is basically built to get around gunnery instruction, and they basically have their own special instruction policy, which is Saika Village Rules. And remember, your family members will give you a discount on it as soon as you can get them enough rank. But in the meantime, you have Shigekane. Shigekane is the one that allows you to jump up into the stratosphere already with this force. Just appointing Shigekane gives you level 9. I mean, you're capped. You're already capped at 9 with Shigekane. You've hit the cap. Now you get Saika Village Rules for 100, and now you can break the cap and be at 10. And then let's not forget landmarks. You have the 2 forge towns, 1 in your capital. A forge town gives you +3 to your musket level. So that's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, I guess technically with Saika Village Rules. You can keep chasing that cap as the Suzuki Clan right from the get-go. And of course you have another forge town here. So this helps you offset. You don't have access to gunnery instruction, but you can at least have 2 bases where you can reliably send out forces that have muskets at level 10 or higher. Okay? So right from the jump, this clan just immediately gets to level 10. So if you just want straight musket power right from the jump, and I don't want to say through unconventional means, because it's not really that unconventional, but through this unique policy, you can get that right away. The only reason they're not higher, like I said, it's just their potential is always going to be a little limited because of their situation. And also, just their officer corps, you're dependent on a couple of things. But if you just want to blast away with muskets right from the start of the game, you can't go wrong with the Suzuki Clan. So let's get to the number 2 spot. The number 2 spot, we've got the Honganji, specifically Kenyo's Honganji monks in 1560. This kind of surprised me, but yeah, let me tell you, these monks, man, monks with guns, it's a thing. Now this clan is a little bit more advanced, you know, otherwise they'd be my number 1 clan. They're a little bit more advanced. Like, they do take a little bit of finessing to get off the ground. Not too difficult, but The fact that they are scattered throughout the map, you know, across the temples, it makes them a little bit more nuanced. But to me, the potential, they still have a lot of raw power, and their potential to basically expand and kind of grow however they want jumps them all the way up to number 2. So let's get into the officers, okay? I think they have 5 or 6 officers with gunnery trait right away, okay? So we have 1 there, 2 with Reiren. I'm going to cover Reiren in a second, but 2 with Reiren, that's 2. 3, 4, 5. Is that it? Just 5? 6. Okay, yeah, I knew I missed somebody. Okay, so 6 officers total. They only have 14, but half of them, almost half of them, have the gunnery trait. Okay, now Reiren, let's see if he's here or if he's somewhere else. Okay, he's here. Reiren is excellent. He has the marksman trait, musket level 3. You notice that all of these top 5 forces, the reason that like they're in the 5 and not floating around the top 10 or whatever, each of these forces has at least one person that has just a lot of things focused on the theme of the musket theme. They have one elite person, you know, like Shigehide, Masamune. Now we have Reiren up here. Marksman, muskets build up. Again, this is another one of those forces that, like I just said, almost half the officers have gunnery to start in the game. So this could work for you. Don't have to use it, but it's there. And then gunnery overseer, decreasing the cost and gunnery instruction. Again, super rare overseer trait. It's somewhere around 10 to 15 officers in the map have this one. It's rare because it's not just a general effect. It's once removed. It's niche because it's for muskets, just like the equestrian. So it just generally speaking, it's gonna be rare, but for some reason Koei made it even rarer than that, I feel like, because having only 10 to 15 officers in a whole map that have gunnery, I don't know. I guess they don't want to make it too easy for people to get it off the ground, but the forces that they want to get muskets, they made it very, very, very obvious. So cover the officers. Let's look at the gunnery instruction. So you need 5 prestige, no big deal. Take 1 castle, right? Progressive officer, you will get that eventually. It's not too difficult. Again, when you have someone like Reiren, he can pretty much get the honor taking the castle. So you will get gunnery instruction off the ground. The thing that really helps though in the meantime is that you have this guy. Shokai will give you +5 to your musket level. Again, this is all castles. Insanely strong. -40% gold income. So you have to build around it in this case. This is not like Nobunaga where you're loaded with cash. You are going to have to build around this. But still, getting 5 is worth it just to start the game. Because all of a sudden, just like the Suzuki Clan, you're going to be at your cap. If Reiren's in your force, you're at your cap. That's just how it is. If he's not in your force, you're at level 7 to start. Incredible. I mean, it's incredible. Now, we're not done talking about the officers because there's one more officer that's buried in this chart, right? I don't even know what castle he's in. Let me just bring up. Let's look at the whole force again. There's one more officer that's buried in the chart that you want to get him that rank, that captain rank, as soon as possible. These monks have a Suzuki guy, which this was kind of, for me, this is one of the biggest factors why they're number 2 and not number 3 over the Suzuki, because they have access to the Suzuki Saika village rules. As soon as this guy jumps up in rank, you'll be able to get Way of the Suzuki, which means you'll get all of the benefits without having the drawback that the Suzuki have of having only conservative officers. Remember that the Suzuki only have conservative guys to begin with. So it's going to take a little while to get your gunnery. Well, these guys are set up the opposite. They have plenty of progressive guys that are ready. They just need a little bit of honor, and they're going to have access to Saika village rules. So you'll be able to break the musket requirement, just like the Suzuki Clan. Except you'll be able to take advantage of gunnery instruction as well. Now don't get me wrong, you don't once you want to focus Saika village rules first with that officer. You want to get him the rank down here, the captain rank. You want to get that for him right away first. That's what I do anyway. And then get Saika village rules, and then worry about gunnery instruction whenever you need to. But the point is, that officer being there, having a Suzuki in your force, means that you don't have to worry so much about your balance and affording gunnery instruction, because you can get Saika village rules for 100 gold, which is dirt cheap. And once you do get around to gunnery instruction, you will have 2 guys who will reduce it. Again, super rare. These guys have 2 of them on the map already. Reiren and Genin over here. So, and remember, of course, you're getting +5 from him. And that's +5 is like, again, for all your forces. Now, one more thing that they have, of course, I gotta keep showing it because it's so ridiculous. It's so great to be next to the Miyoshi in this start. You have access to a forge town right there. And you have the Saika, but you're allied with the Saika, which means you should probably team up and get this forge town in your force as soon as you can. So you have 1 forge town next to you. You have the silver mine. Silver mine's going to be right up here. And you have, like I said, you have an alliance with the Saika. You're just ready to expand. Your prospects are, like I said, a little bit more nuanced, but the potential for this clan is very, very, very high. One last thing I'll say about them is, of course, they have Ishiyama Temple, which is later known as Osaka Castle, which means that you have a ton of castle town spaces to build whatever you want, which is very important, because if you watched my musket building episode, you know that one of the things I said is that if you're lucky enough to have a capital that's huge, one of these massive castles that you can develop, one of the things you can do is double up on your shooting galleries. So whenever you build a shooting gallery, it gives you +1 per shooting gallery. So in a large castle like this, once you build it up, you can build 2 of these to give you 2 to your musket level. Or you can build 3. I think 3 is overkill at that point. But as you grow and you start shifting around your officer corps, you don't have to keep your gunnery guys or anybody that's too strong here, really. Just by doubling up on shooting galleries, you'll be able to hit that cap or hit that level 11 or 12, whatever you're going to be at. Because remember, you're going to get Saika Village, you're going to break your limit, and then you'll be able to chase that limit with gunnery instruction. And gunnery instruction gives you the shooting galleries. You can double up on shooting galleries here, which means you don't have to keep Reiren constrained. You can put Reiren in charge of this castle. Like I said, this clan is more nuanced than I feel like any of the other clans on this list are, but their potential is so high that I had to put them at number 2. I don't recommend this playing as them. Even though they're at number 2, I don't recommend playing as them if you're looking to start shooting them up right away. There's some setup, there's some nuance to how you grow. I recommend Saika first, so you can get a handle for how to build your muskets, especially. I recommend Saika. I think that's what I covered in the video. That's what we used as our example. I recommend them to get yourself familiarized with how to manage it, build it, all that stuff, and then jump over and try the monks, man. Because like I said, these monks can fire. They got firepower under those robes. They got rifles. But all right, guys, let's get to the number 1. So the number 1 clan for musket armies, the Shimazu, of course. Everything that I've been talking about on this list getting up to number 1, the Shimazu do, and then some. And they have one very unique thing about them, is that they're pretty much timeless when it comes to musket power in this game. So you can pick them. This is 1553. You can pick the Shimazu at pretty much any time. They always have musket power. First of all, they always exist. They persist. And they always have their power. There's no time period where it kind of like really falls off or anything. It's always peak Okay. Just to start off with their officers, they have, I want to say, about 8 officers with gunnery. One there. Oh, Yoshihisa, of course, your son. He has marksman. So, one guy with marksman, which is level 3 gunnery. One guy with gunnery right away. This clan is just, I mean, like I said, it's just stacked. It does everything but better than everyone else. So, we're up to 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 Dragoon. So you got 7 guys with gunnery, 1 guy with Dragoon, 1 guy with marksman. So again, musket power all over the place, just with the trait. Okay. Now looking at the landmark, they have a forge town. One of the 5 forge towns. One of the 5 mystical forge towns. They have it there. Not only do they have it, it's part of their capital, which means you can focus it down with development and build it up right away to unlock it and, you know, harness it. They also have silver mines. Kyushu has, I think, 3 silver mines total. Maybe 4. Is that a silver mine all the way up there? Wow. Okay, I guess if you want to count this one, I guess it counts, right? 3 on the mainland, let's say that. One of them is immediately next to you. So you have access to a silver mine that you can get pretty easily. As well as the forge town. So you have the best of both worlds there. You increase your musket power attack rate. And you can get +3 in your capital building. Okay, right away. One of the few forces that has that. Now when we go to the conservator role, this is the thing. Not only do you have access to musket supplier, okay, because of your son, which is the strongest version, level 5. Just like the Honganji, they have, their main monk has level 5 access, 40% gold drawback. But you have a choice. They have another guy, Tadachika, gives you the silver, which is just +3 but -20%. So you have flexibility here, which is one of those things that, you know, it's so rare. But in this very, very niche spot, they even have power and flexibility here between it, where it's like if you want the 40%, if you want to go all out, get that 40% for level 5, you can. If you want to pace yourself, just get this one at first. Okay, set this, get to level 3. Your neighbors aren't that tough. Get to level 3 right now, and when you can afford it, upgrade. Jump up to Yoshihisa. And remember that while Yoshihisa is the heir eventually, if you ever want to come back to this, you can just retire as him and get it back. He's not going to lose his rank. He's going to have a maxed out senior rank role. So this is always in play for you. Whether you're playing a later scenario where you're starting with Yoshihisa in charge or not, you can just retire him if you want that. But again, you don't need to with the Shimazu, because they have plenty of choices in the depth chart later on for who and how you want to get your power. The best one in the game is musket drill. They don't have the gold plated, but they have silver at level 3 for no drawback. Decreases cavalry, who cares? You're playing muskets, right? So you have musket supplier as well, different tiers of it to choose from. And you have at least elite musketeers, which, I mean, for this force, I don't recommend it. Decreasing your soldiers, no way. Not when you have better options on the table. But you have, the fact is that you have options. That's the thing about the Shimazu. They don't just have power. They have so much of it that you have endless options with how you want to approach how to build your musket army. Also, gunnery overseers. Been saying it all throughout this list. An extremely rare policy to have, an overseer trait to have. They have 3 people in their chart who have access to it. 30% off gunnery instruction. So when you go to get your gunnery instruction, which of course you can get right away. Okay, you can start off right away and get gunnery instruction, policy level 1, and you'll be able to get the other ones as you go on. But you can get that discount on it right away from it. You'll be able to get that. So access to gunnery instruction, the council, power on both sides of the council, man. Conservator roles are really strong. Overseer roles, having gunnery instruction just catapults them into the stratosphere. They have the forge town, silver mine access, tons of officers that are not just great, but they have gunnery. That's the thing. They're great and they have gunnery, and as I've recently learned with traits, if your leadership level is above 80, you get +1 to your trait. If it's at level 90, you get +2. So because the Shimazu family is so strong, there's so many capable leaders in it, most of the time these guys are going to be able... Oh, I don't know where your other sons are at right now. But most of the time, you're going to be able to field one gunnery guy, and he's going to be at level 2 or level 3. Just because of the leadership or the familial ties. That's before you factor in Forgery Town. I mean, the only thing they're missing is Psycho Village rules to break the limit. You know, let's be honest. But they don't need it. They have everything set up for them. And of all the clans that I've covered in this list, the Shimazu are easily set up to just steamroll everybody and everything. You can easily get all of Kyushu. I mean, very little effort with this clan. So that's another factor. Like I said, they have everything that everyone else does, but it's not just better. They have flexibility at power. They have flexibility at everything that you look at. When you look at conservator roles, they have the gunnery policy discount. They have access to gunnery policy early. They have the income. They already have the capital, 9,000, set up so that you can start steamrolling. You can go into debt if you want to with policies. Don't worry about it. You're going to be able to increase your income very, very quickly. You have the officers in the future to give you even stronger conservator roles, so you can change up your tactics or how you want to handle getting your musket power. So, and that's not even to start talking about the strength of the Shimazu clan and their position, right? So that's the Shimazu at number 1. And that about does it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're going to have more videos like this coming out in the future. I've got the Mazuyuki playthrough that's kicking out right now at Sekigahara. And we're doing a live stream every Saturday. Although I might be switching them to Sundays. But I'll keep you guys posted. Like I said, make sure you sub to the channel so you don't miss any posts. And we're doing Nobukatsu on that one. But pretty soon we're going to be switching. Like I said, keep an eye out. Make sure you like the video. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. Till then, take care.